Call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item of business is the approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting August 9th. Everyone's had a chance to take a look at them. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from August 9th. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is approval of the general fund vouchers 78,838 through 78,926, voided 78,891, and wire transfers 2022 double lot 41 through 2022 double lot 91.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item is public comments. We have no public here tonight. Next item of business is the new business. Item A, review of the 21-22 COVID-19 procedures.
Okay. So I just wanted to share, I put a letter in your folder or in your board package, just kind of where we are currently, with the status. We're going to continue with this type of letter where we, we kind of modified or adjusted as we went last year or during the school year. Where by the end of the year we were just putting this updated letter on the website. So this letter's on the website right now. It's going to start from September 1 and just kind of keep going to where our current numbers are. So right now we have 3 students that have identified as or have been confirmed as having testing positive for COVID-19. We haven't had any staff members. So right now things are going well. Knock on wood. We've just had the couple students that have tested positive, and so far it's similar to last year, where some asymptomatic, some minor, and then we've had a couple that are flu-like symptoms, at home. So that's what we're dealing with now, and we haven't had any adults yet in the district that have tested positive. But we do, at the elementary end here, more so at the elementary, you see, it's at that time of year, it's kind of flu-type season, so you got a lot of the sniffs and, sniffles and runny noses over there, which is pretty common. But so I just want to share that where we're at right now, and that'll be updated. Most likely I'll kind of do it every Friday unless, numbers are a lot slower or a lot faster as far as positive cases. Kind of look at every Friday updating that letter onto the website, and it's the one under COVID-19 tab, that response tab under the quick links on the website. So any questions with that? No?
I would like to look into more about if the county asks us to hold people out. I think we should be holding certain people out.
Okay, and we can certainly talk about that too. And so right now the plan that was approved was to not do the close contacts, and then the issue that I have with the county is not that I have an issue with the county, but the excluding any individuals that the county deems as close contacts. I feel like there's going to be a lot of work on our end. It's close contacts that we would then have to be doing pretty much the same as we did last year. And the reason we weren't last year is because we had the 720 close contacts that we deemed as close contacts, and then of those 7 that ended up testing positive, and of those 7, 4 were household members. So that's the one piece. The second piece is the county has the authority to place orders and mandates. So if they're choosing not to do that, the public health department isn't doing that. So I feel like if we do it, it's going above and beyond.
I'm not saying we should do extra, but if they, like Barron County, if they send us a letter that says this household should stay home, I don't think we should.
Right, but what they're doing
right, you make the decision on your own.
But right now, what we have is like Polk County, they're not issuing orders or mandates, so they're voluntary exclusions and not voluntary isolations. So they've taken the word voluntary off of their form. What I was told by Barron County is they put the word order on their form for isolation, but they're not technically orders. So I feel like it's putting the school in a tough place as far as asking us to do more than what they're even willing to do. Like if they want to put an order in place and a mandate in place, we've said from the beginning that we're going to follow those. It's not like we're looking to not follow the
Right,
public
but if
health
we get a letter
department.
that says they're ordered to stay home, then are we,
But they're not ordered. Is
but,
it?
well, the letter says they're ordered to stay home.
But if they're voluntary, and that's what we're dealing with right now, is that everything that we've seen has been voluntary
Right.
from the public health. So
Are you saying like if the county calls?
Like Emily got a letter from Barron County saying couldn't come to work
Yeah.
because her kids tested positive and she was a close contact. It's not saying like everybody that they were in contact with and you
Right.
gotta give us a list of people. They're just saying everybody in that household is required to order
Right.
to stay home. And the letter did say
And
order.
you probably don't even see that though, do you?
we do see some of them. Last year we haven't seen any this year yet.
Yeah.
But last year we did see all of those. Those letters would come.
Certainly, I
to
agree
us.
with you. Yes, that you would think they would. That's their order, right? To keep, in that case, her kids home from school.
Right, because she had to give that letter to Emily and the school. And all of her kids couldn't go to or can't go to school till like the 18th.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying if they show up to school, you'd be like, send them home? Is that?
Yeah.
Well,
If you
agree
get
with
an
that.
actual written order
Yeah.
from certain households, like I know Barron County is doing it, Polk County probably hasn't done.
Yeah, and what I've been told is anything that we've gotten they're all voluntary at this point.
Well, I'm just worried that what if
So
some
there's
kid
a
in that
contradiction
class-
here, I think what we're saying is what they're saying and telling schools is it's voluntary. And it really is,
That's what
but
Polk
they're
County is.
making a stronger statement in their letters to the households that say order, when it's not a full-fledged order from the county. Because
Right.
it's not in their written processes that it's an order, but they're saying that into the letter to the families. So I think there's a contradiction coming from the counties. There's not requirements, there's not mandatory orders.
Right.
But they're making the letters appear that there is orders.
So if someone doesn't follow the voluntary letters, the isolation or quarantine letters, and the county really wants them to, then they have to go through a process to get it to make it an order, and then it goes through the court system, and then they can issue an order to those individuals.
An
So
actual order?
An actual order.
The letter Emily got, it said it was an order that they were supposed to remain home.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've been told, is that even that one is a voluntary, but I don't know that for certain.
Well,
So the issue that I have, that the county shared with me, is with these isolation or quarantine letters, because we had said, this isn't political. When the football deal happened, I said this isn't political. We just, we talked about what the Clear Lake Board has approved, and we don't have the man and woman power to do what we were doing last year, and it just seemed like we were doing it in vain. Based on the numbers that we had in the positive cases that resulted of those exclusions. So then the question becomes, you have 9 schools in the county, and you're telling us that you're going to do all of the contact tracing, which just isn't going to happen. And the question was posed, like, well, then what's going to happen if you can't get to those? Then they said they would just send out letters to everyone and quarantine and isolate full teams in classrooms, and that was the conversation with the football team, is before we can't figure out how to contact trace everywhere, we're just going to isolate the whole team and quarantine the whole team. And that was the part that I certainly struggled with.
Well, and I don't think all teams are getting quarantined. It's just certain people that are actually sick.
Right, but
they're not going through they're not doing it like we did last year.
Who's not?
The county isn't going through and.
County didn't really do that. We did that all.
Right. And
So-
they're not asking us to do that, and I don't think we should go to that level. But I think actually just.
But how would they do, you're not giving them
But Polk
seating
County
charts
never-
for our classes, are you?
No, we're not.
So there's no way for the counties to do a contact trace?
No. And
Outside of saying
I'm not
if they're
saying we
a
should
sport.
be doing that like it was last year.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is if we do that with the county's quarantine or isolation, if we just do it with household members, if we make our own policy and say, household members as well, that's one thing. But if we say we're going to honor the isolation voluntary letters, and because right now it's only household members that they're issuing those, or my question is what happens when they issue those for a whole team, or more than just the household members, and they said, well, there's the person we talked to in that house said 6 people, also these names, then as a district we have to decide either we're going to exclude all those names or we're not. So I feel more of I feel like we should make our own policies, because right now it's still locally decided. If we want to do home household members, then we talk through that, not whether or not we're going to, because I feel like at some point we're going to get to a point where we're saying, well, we were going to honor that one, but we're not going to honor this one, with the letters that we're receiving. I feel like that puts us, especially the administrators, in a tough spot to make that call.
Unless the counties legally have the right to say order or mandate.
Then that's
which
different.
Which they don't have right now, is right?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're sent a letter that said this person is ordered to stay home, we shouldn't just tell them, it's up to you. You decide if you want to do it.
But if we know they don't have legal standing to do that, Ryan, then we can, right?
That's what I feel. If it's not an order, it's not an order. It's a mandate. And if they have the authority to make a mandate.
Because we just got done crossing the bridge with Polk County, having somebody that's out in front of everybody making their own rules. I don't know what her name was, but the one that you struggled with a month ago, who decided to kind of go on her own and start, and that's the kind of thing we come across.
Yeah.
But if we do want to exclude households,
well,
I think we should talk about that.
I'm just saying people that are included, like you haven't gotten any letter from Polk County or anything.
We've received one, I believe.
Did they say anything like certain members should be?
No, it was for the positive. It was an isolation letter, a quarantine letter for the positive individual,
Okay.
which, we said that those individuals are out for 10 days, regardless of what the county says. If they test positive, we're having them out for 10 days, either from the date of symptoms or if they're asymptomatic from the date of test.
But it doesn't refer to any household members.
The letter that we got,
Yeah.
no.
No.
It didn't.
I mean, I'd like to think common sense, but there again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not existent right here.
No. And part of the deal last year was and we were the ones doing it, but it was just a flawed system.
I don't think that was the way to do it either. I mean, they were just overdoing it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work for you.
And even the household members, that was I'm just throwing this out there because I don't know exact percentages, but it felt like it was a 50-50, crapshoot of whether or not the household members were going to test positive. Sometimes, we had one house, it went through the house, and then there was one individual that I would have bet my mortgage on that they would have tested positive, and then they didn't. And then another one, that they did. And then we were in the predicament too of, our house is a split level, we have 2 bathrooms, and it was putting us in a tough spot. And it's like, we're just going whatever the county says, you got to ask that question. If it's a household, it just put us in a very tough. We had a lot of those type of conversations as far as household members. If they had split, at the very beginning they were talking about ductwork, and then by then it was just like if they have a shared bathroom, a shared common space, if it was a split level, and they had a different criteria then they would. And then you have individuals coming to you saying, I know that's not the case at their house, and I'm
Right. I think we're fine because we used our stats to take away like the total school when we were looking at, when we did our own quarantine. You understand that? I seriously am really watching our numbers for the household. So like I asked Josh before the meeting, we went up 1, is that person a household member? So I'm a little iffy on the household, and I don't care if you have good ventilations or you're living on different floors. Same house, everything applies. We're not going to make judgments about your house. And I don't think I'm quite there yet, but that's something I'm watching very carefully with our numbers. If it starts to, we get 2 or 3 cases that are going to come a week apart from the same household, I think we might need to look at that once it picks up here. But I don't think our numbers from last year justify the contact tracing and exclusion like we did with the 700. And I don't think it's a court order, and it's not an order from the counties yet, because that's not what they're saying on their web pages and their information. Even though they may be mailing that out, I know Polk County, it's not an order yet.
Yeah. And if, we'd honor that, obviously, until, we could have a special meeting if we felt like that didn't. But, from my standpoint, I don't want to go against the county and say, no, we're not going to, if it's a mandate or an order, just like the Wisconsin one, we'd follow it until we could reconvene as a board, and then you guys would decide, are we going to, do we feel like this is lawful? Do we feel like we want to honor this? And, or not. And I think in this scenario, we're all, the key pieces, the symptoms, like what are kids exhibiting and, how is it spreading in the building. And like I said to Polk County when we were talking about that, I don't care where you fall on the political spectrum or where you are personally, like nobody wants kids to get sick. Like I think, your decision surrounding that topic is going to quickly be what is in the best interest of the kids and what is in the best interest of the staff and the buildings. And as of right now, it seems to be pretty similar to last year, but obviously, it's only September 13th too, so.
So if we were to talk about, if it gets into a household, asking them to stay home, I don't think we'd have a qualm with that. I don't think anybody would argue with that in the district. I mean, if I had COVID in my house, I would keep all my kids home because I don't want to send them to school and so-and-so.
You would.
From the Frenchie
I'm
house.
saying there's a lot of people in town that would send their sick kids to school.
And I think we dealt with that last year too. I really don't know if
But then what happens if we have the 4th grade class, all of a sudden 4 cases are in that 4th grade class?
I guess what I'm saying is last year, regardless of what our procedures are, I think that happened last year and I think that will happen this year as far
That
as.
people are sent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sick and
Yeah.
not having symptoms. So
I'm not worried about people like you, Greg. I'm worried about people that
skip.
just don't care. I'm worried about people that skip.
We'll call it the skip rule.
So I think we just need to continue on the way we're doing it, and if it gets out of hand, re-talk about it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would quickly visit that, I agree, keep letting us know, but I mean, if we start to see a classroom
Yeah, but
with
if all of a
a
sudden
lot
we
or a lot of
have 5
families.
cases in the 4th grade class,
Yeah.
it's too late
So,
to start looking at it, isn't it? Because, how do we change procedure halfway through the year?
We call a special meeting and change procedure.
Well, and
No.
I have you
I don't
guys
think
have
it's
given
that
me
easy
the
as to
authority.
be like, well, they didn't do that last week, now they're doing it.
Yeah, I don't think that would necessarily be a hard one to change, in a moment's notice. Because we're the ones making the building level secretaries that are making those calls and we're making those calls. So if we feel like we need to make that change immediately, the plan has that in there where I have the authority to make that decision without reconvening a special meeting. I'd shoot you guys an email and say, hey, we're going to start excluding household members as well. We've had a handful of household members that have tested positive as a result of their siblings or whoever testing positive. But by all means, if you guys want to change it now, that's up to you guys.
I mean, I think it's fair, and I think you said you would do this, if all of a sudden we get 3 in a class within a week. We let that whole class parents know that, don't we?
Yeah, this building is tough, but the elementary we for sure
right.
are doing, like if it's a classroom, we'll send the same type of letter that we sent last year where, hey, we have, positive or 2 positives in the classroom. This building, I don't know how, we even talked through that when the last case, there's so much movement and travel that it's, I don't know, you can't really narrow it down to anything more than a building in this one.
So, Ryan, are you asking that if we get to a certain percentage with the
Nope.
class, that class
I'm
is
just
all
saying,
quarantined? Or
no, not the whole class. If we're told by the county that they should remain home, Emily got a letter that said they're ordered to stay home, and she's not going to let her come back to work, and she's not going to say, oh, it's voluntary. Please come back to work.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think Emily would have the right to go see if the county does have the authority to order.
Well,
And I'm not even saying
Well,
that. I'm
like
just saying,
Josh was
is it
saying.
an order or is it not an order? And right now, I don't believe it is.
well, I'm just
Right.
insurance-wise, if we get something from a Barron County that said those kids are ordered to stay home, and what legal right do we have if it's a 4th grade kid and more 4th grade kids get sick?
After we know.
Yeah, and the parents are pissed that
Can
we
we talk
kept-
about maybe 5th grade, because I have one.
Let's say 4th grade.
But
But I
'Cause
think
really everybody
legally
has
that would
kids
be
in
very
school.
easy to disprove that it was an order, because it wasn't an order.
Okay.
Legally, that's very easy to prove in a court. But I don't want to, I'm very cautious with this, obviously, at this point too. But that point's very easy to
Right,
disprove.
I'm just saying, like,
Well, and I
not
think-
just household members, but if their name comes in on.
Right, but if Josh gets a letter, you're gonna follow that, I'm assuming, or not?
Yeah, I mean, if we get a thing that says a letter or an order or
Yes.
a mandate, I mean, we're going to look into make sure that it is an order. Or
Right, you're not
mandate.
gonna say, bring him to school or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if it's voluntary, and we ask them straight up, is it voluntary or is it not?
Yeah.
And with the counties, I've been documenting and recording everything just for myself.
Well, and you might have to deal with 4 counties, right? If depending on where they live, or not
Right.
necessarily,
Yeah.
or does it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, what they're doing this year, which is a little different than last year, but one of the positive cases was not in Polk County. It was one of the other 3 counties. They're kicking it to Polk County because the school
Okay.
is actually resides in Polk County.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that'll stay the case, if they will continue with that practice, or if that just happened because of that specific scenario, or situation, I should say. So I definitely don't want to do anything against mandated or order. I mean, I for sure won't, put us in until we can meet and talk through if that's what we want to do and we don't feel like it's lawful and we want to talk through that. If we do receive something that says order or mandate, I'll be sure to let you guys know, and I'll look into it. I'll call the county directly and ask them, is this legally an order or mandate? Is this voluntary? What is it? And then we'll make a decision based off that response from the county. That sound good?
And that's if a family would bring a letter in like that. Not that
Well,
they have to. Would
right.
you-
She
would
got a
you-
letter,
Does
from the
Emily-
family, but yeah,
Did Emily get a letter at the place of business?
yeah,
Okay, not from somebody, a parent passing it on?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so we.
Yeah, and if they want to come without showing us that letter, I can guarantee it's going to happen. I mean, eventually, most likely, we will find out that was given to them. But like what we're seeing even right now is like the one case. There's some questions. 5-6 days later, they're calling us and asking us, the question that they had, and that situation is already, that individual tested positive. They're coming back tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
So there's definitely there's a lag time in communication because they have 9 schools that they're, Polk County's working with, and
yeah.
so there's some of that. There's that component too. What I'm seeing this year is because last thing we want to be is difficult with counties, but they're dealing with a lot of the same. We're not unique in our plan. Like clearly, there's a lot of other schools around us that are doing pretty similar stuff. So they, like I think this was the Polk County's 4th director or whatever in the last year and a half, or third or 4th. So I think there's a lot of frustration and on their end too because of what they're dealing with, and the staffing, the lack of staffing that they have. But I also think that there's been some stuff that they've done that's been I feel like is extremely inappropriate from Polk County specifically. But bottom line is we want to make sure that everybody's staying healthy and and continue with what we're doing to keep everybody here. Any other?
Everybody comfortable? Want to revisit it as it comes, or?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think it probably would come, and we just will have lots of meetings. Something drastically.
Yeah, so right now, we've given you the levy to go ahead and make decisions on the fly.
Yep.
Josh? We want to continue doing that, guys? Is there any point in which we want to meet that we want to ask Josh to get us together, or?
I think it's our responsibility to watch these letters and ask questions, and not question what your decisions are, but just to ask questions about the demographics of it. And then if we have just even the slightest question, or I think it's fair for us to get together.
And I hope you guys know I'm questioning myself too. I mean, as an admin team, we're having those conversations as well. I mean, I don't think anybody would say that they have a fantastic plan because nobody knows, like I said before, until this continues to play out. And the household member was something I had concerns about too. It's like, do we have household members? Do we not? And that's something that I think is a valid thing to look at in an argument that, when we originally said it, I'd pause when we talked about it too, and still do, and hope it's the right decision. Because we did have a lot of people, that not only impacting, when you have a individual that's a household member, that's could be 24 days out. I mean, that's 24 days of lost instruction, and that weighing the pros and cons versus the mental health piece, the education piece, and maybe different this year, but last year I do feel like the risk of those individuals testing positive wasn't. I mean, with 7 individuals that were close contacts and 4 of those being household members, we had a lot more positive cases, in the district, throughout the year. But anyway, so I feel like that you have to weigh that too, and what's is it
And
worth the
some of
risk?
them wouldn't have had their kids tested, they just assumed it was. If they got sick at home, you just assume it is. I mean, I know a lot of individuals that didn't.
Yep.
Once one gets sick in the house, you just don't go test the rest of them, you just know they're sick.
Yeah, and we've been honoring even if they don't go in and get tested, if they have someone in the house, there's no consequence for their absence. We've been honoring that, and then if they want to come back, they just have if they start to have symptoms, they're automatically out, and then they can come back once their symptoms are no longer there and they test, or if they test negative. So. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on it then. So the next item of business then is the approval of our hires.
Okay. So we have one new hire, Abigail Johnson, elementary aide, and then we had 2 positions that we increased just to fill that one position, that part-time position that had left.
I move to approve the new hires.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the new hires. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business are resignations.
Okay, we had 2 resignations, those 2 listed, 2 custodial positions.
Okay,
Listed
before
in
we
there.
go reading their letters, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resignations.
Second.
Oh, what were you going to say?
Been properly moved and seconded
Sorry.
to approve the resignations. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
I thought you were going to say you were going to read the letters. But...
No, I forego.
Oh, thank you. Gotcha.
Yep. Next item of business is the approval of the FMLA leave.
Okay, so we have one exciting news in there from Ms. Millar, who's requesting to have her FMLA pertaining to her maternity leave. So she's congratulations to the Millar family for their next one here, next little warrior on the way.
I move to approve.
And actually, before you guys approve it, it's a unique one. It's extended FMLA, so it's a little bit longer than normal. But just so you know, from administration standpoint, it's a benefit to the district because of trying to fill that position for a whole semester would be a lot easier than a part-time in there. So
I do move to approve.
My second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the FMLA leave. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next item of business is the approval of the 21-22 winter coaching staff.
Okay, so I have a list of the coaches, the winter coaching staff, with the exception of the 2 to be determined positions for the wrestling, which we posted out there today on our website. And hopefully, we'll be filling those.
I move to approve the 21-22 winter coaching staff.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the winter coaching staff. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the discussion of the WASB regional attendance.
Okay, so I just put that on there. I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at the link, but they are doing the kind of the normal, or what they had done in past practice, where they have the regional meetings. I believe the one that's closest to us is in Spooner, and then they're also offering a virtual option. So no need for action or anything like that, but just want to let you guys know, just have you guys aware of the regional meetings, and then if you want to attend, let me know, and get you guys signed up for those, either virtual or the in person.
The next item of business will be the approval of board policy 168.1, meeting minutes. You guys take a few moments to read through it.
We keep all of our meeting minutes and recordings on our website, don't we?
Yes.
I'm just wondering why we'd have available for purchase at a fee when anybody could access them at any time. Like, we don't really say where they're kept.
No, I think if they,
Should we?
it'd be similar like a records request where
Oh,
you could
gotcha.
charge for that just
Yeah.
for the time it takes to print off, and I think it's like a nickel a page or something like that.
Otherwise, they could just go print it off themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys let me know when you want to start discussion.
I'm ready.
First off, I'd like to say thanks to Lori for doing this for us for the last minute.
Your minutes?
Yeah, they wouldn't very different if the clerk actually did them.
Yeah, I think they would be a good example to any school board that's looking for an example of minutes well taken. The only question I have is tardy. Do we need to put if somebody's tardy in the minutes? And yes, it's because me.
No, I've had it done too, and my husband pointed it out. I'm like,
Well, he points it out every time I'm tardy too, so that's why I was wondering if we need to put
so we
that.
have only one person looking at it.
I don't know.
I don't think we need to add that.
I see it in the other ones all the time, but I don't know what the.
So how did they put it in there? So like,
Just like you're doing it.
so when I say who's here, and then I put like 5:38 or something in there, and then that's how.
Because not everyone was here at 5:35
Yeah.
or whenever it was. So
It's so the voters know that we're not doing our due diligence.
Well, it's not that.
Or you
big
could
of a-
change the
everybody
time
knows
to
I'm-
whenever.
The priest knows I'm never on time, so it doesn't. But I
You could
just,
put a late, so then if the first thing that was voted is only a 4-0 vote,
Right.
then they would understand that this person
Yeah.
was absent, and then the next thing, all of a sudden, it's 5-0. Well, they can
Yeah.
see that that one person came.
That's what I usually try and do. And that's what Christie approves.
I'm fine with it. I know I'm tardy.
I just thought I'd ask.
I move to approve the meeting minutes by law.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and second that we approve the meeting minutes policy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the approval of board policy 171.1, president.
It's like that one is what it is, huh?
I think.
Yeah.
Do you really sign all the checks?
He's
Yep.
got a stamp.
It's up.
Nice, the three of you do.
I move to approve the president's
Second.
policy.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve the president's 171.1 board policy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item of business is the vice president, 171.2.
I move to approve the vice president.
A second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve 171.2, the vice president. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item of business is 171.3, the clerk. one of the things that we should probably talk about. And this may be referred to, this meeting might, and this conversation might be referred to at a later date. Simply from the standpoint that if our actual job isn't reflective of what's in our policy, where does that leave us? So a few years ago, we had a treasurer who had a bunch of things listed, and that's going to be the next one that we look at. And I don't know what the treasurer one said, but it didn't accurately denote what our treasurer did at that time. And that gave him levity to argue about what he should be doing or what he shouldn't be doing, or she. And it turned into a kind of a mess. So that being said, the clerk, number A says, act as clerk and record the proceedings to all meetings of the board. Well, our clerk doesn't actually do that, does she, Christie?
Well, it contradicts our meeting minute policy that says it could be designated.
Which we could add that language
could
in
add-
there.
Yeah.
Or
'Cause
as
I feel like
designated.
This role oversee, like A, B, C, D, E, really Lori is doing it, and the board member oversees that it is done.
Right, so we could just add overseas to the end of each of them.
But, well, it says, act as clerk and record the proceedings, that's you. Enter the proceedings of the board into the proper record books, that's you. Enter the record book copies of all clerk reports sent to municipal clerks.
Like
Draw
Christie
and
doesn't
record orders on
physically do those
treasurer's
things.
direction.
She just makes sure they're done.
proves it, or
Right.
So I think we should have that wording.
Who is the chief election officer within the district?
You.
You.
It's in the clerk.
How do you think you got noticed?
I don't know how I got elected.
So I don't know, I think that we should probably get that right, just so future boards don't have to deal with that. And not from the clerk's standpoint, but the treasurer's was an hornet's nest.
well, and the clerk probably, if they were keeping the minutes.
Happen?
What is D?
Draw and record orders on the treasurer as directed by the board. I
I
don't know
mean,
what
you
that
guys
means.
review the stuff.
Tattoos and
But
food
see, I
orders.
think that's over here. Ever receive monies, enter accounts, deposit funds. That's, I'm not sure what D even is.
I'm assuming these are the legal things that Neil listens.
Well, it says shall, which means you might or might not do
Do some
it.
of these have to be in there because of state stuff?
I'm not sure.
Or it's just, it says on the bottom here.
Well, the word shall means you might or you might not do it.
Thou shalt not.
Shall is you have to do it.
I might or I might not do it. Point made.
I think it's worth a question back to
Yeah.
Neola to ask specifically about
D.
the duties under the clerk and the treasurer.
Okay.
The two.
Yes.
I think it'd be easy enough to
And we hold those.
add at the end, shall designate, or designate.
I mean, Christie does, she reviews all the minutes that I
Right.
do and signs off.
So I think
But
for
if-
that, add that then, if that's what we're doing.
So table
Just so it
those
doesn't
two?
create a future problem, yeah.
I think we need to table on.
What was, are you saying in minutes and in, or no, you're saying treasurer and clerk?
Treasurer and
Correct.
clerk.
Correct.
Gotcha.
If my job is to enter the proceedings of the board into the proper record books, that ain't happening.
If you look up the legal reference there, it lists in state statute those duties of a school board clerk.
Does it say, or shall
There's
the appointee?
actually far more on this. Because you're gonna be busy.
I feel like I need some training.
I think it'd be easy enough to just put
That's, I mean, it's word for
designate.
word from that,
Right.
from the state
So,
statute.
okay.
Yeah, whenever there's a state statute listed, that's where the language came from, like what it's tied to. So it's not necessarily we're responsible for everything in 120.17.
Does
Just
the
saying.
state statute say shall? Does it say anything about a designee?
Which one are we looking at? Draw and recorded orders, or wait?
Just 120.17, does it start, does the language start out before the bullets, like there can be a designee?
The school district clerk of a
Yep.
common or union high school district shall. And then they've got it listed 1 through 10.
I think we just
I
need to
can-
legally look at
Yeah,
as
I can-
designee.
Ask Neola.
Okay.
Or we could be spending a lot more time together.
So then we'll table point 3 and point 4, and then we'll move on to policy 172, legal counsel. If everybody's on board.
Yep.
And that one reads like the old one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I move to approve the legal counsel board policy 0172.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve 0172. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business, our Superintendent Dr. Joshua R. Ernst.
Okay, I'll keep it short. But just wanted to just say we've had a great start to the school year. It's nice having just both buildings full and a lot of kids and energy in both buildings, and kids seem really excited. Staff seem really excited. The 3 days of in-service, I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from the staff. I think it really slowed things down rather than trying to cram everything in 2 days. And if you guys recall, we had to add additional in-service days because of the spring break in there. So I think it worked out to our benefit as with the staff as well. Just felt like more, we could put our trainings and stuff that we had to get done in there, but then also gave them enough time to get classrooms set up, and it, like I said, it just really slowed things down for them, and got a lot of positive feedback. Also, it's been nice starting to approve field trips. Teachers have been starting to submit field trip stuff similar to 2 years ago, so a lot of those field trips will hopefully be in place, and we'll be able to send our kids to those. We're cautiously approving those though as well, and looking at one, if we've done them in the past, and two, would it compromise any of our students or staff in the process. So we're like I said, cautiously approving those and moving forward. Also wanted to mention the open house. The elementary open house was a huge success. We had a 94% attendance rate, which is just unbelievable when you think about an elementary building, and I just feel like it really it's nice for parents. I think it's nice for students to come in and get familiar with the building, but it's also nice for parents as well to not have to worry about signing anything until you just show up and you get a pile to sign, and you get kind of everything taken care of all at once, and then bringing in the outside vendors or into the commons and giving information to the families as well, and getting pictures, all kind of everything done all in one day is really nice for the students and staff. And I know the parents and students, it's nice for both those. So anyway, just wanted to say it's been a good start to the school year in both buildings, and it's nice to have some energy back in the building. But I got to tell you one thing, this building, the junior senior high, we have in the one of the lunch periods, we had tables out for part of our procedures for the COVID or pandemic, just to try to spread kids out. And we had to bring out, so last year we had 4 extra tables that we brought out to spread kids out. This year we had to bring 3 out because of the amount of students that we have in the lunchroom, which is a packed lunchroom now. So we have an increase in number of kids, which is a good thing. But with numbers, you have to try to figure out where all the kids are going to go. So we're exploring buying another lunch table because of the amount of kids that we have in the one lunchroom. So, but overall, it's been a very good start to the year, and I think we're off to a good start. So that was, just wanted to mention that.
Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Ernst. Future agenda items. You guys have anything that you want to talk about at the next meeting?
We have a meeting next Wednesday, September 22nd, I believe. A retreat.
Yeah. are you guys able to, if we adjust, would we be able to adjust that to the following Wednesday, the 29th, if I ask? Or no?
I could not.
No? Okay.
But that doesn't, I mean, he's covering things I've been at
But I'll leave it as is if it is an issue. It's all
before. It
good.
might be an issue for
Yeah,
next
I'll be
week
good too.
anyways.
Okay, we'll leave it as is then, the 22nd. Okay.
But don't do that on my account.
No, we'll leave it. That's totally good.
Anything else?
What time
Nope.
is that at?
4:30, I thought I wrote down.
Yeah.
That's what I have in my calendar, 4:30 to 6. I don't know why I have it in time.
I'm glad somebody said something, 'cause I don't have anything in mind.
And I don't think it's gonna take that long. He anticipates about an hour, he thought, maybe a little bit over an hour. I go through everything.
Okay. Well, then I will entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
The property is moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.